Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream. Today is September the 4th, and I'm going to do your spiritual principle a day in a meditation. Greet you this morning. I hope you're doing fine. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation, and this is our H.O.O.D Recovery Services. You may reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Let's get into the screen. All right, hopefully you can see that. It is entitled Choosing Freedom. We are free to change our minds, to change our perspective, and to change our lives. Freedom means that we are no longer living by default. Living Clean, Chapter 3, Awakening to Our Spirituality. In active addiction, we lived in a kind of default mode. We neglected responsibilities and disregarded the consequences of our actions or inaction. We were utterly vulnerable to our defects. We self-destructed and harmed others. A member offered this metaphor. I was on an amusement park ride that started off fun until it made me sick. But by then, I couldn't get off of it. Although living by default made us miserable, even the slightest suggestion that we could change would elicit a defensive, that's just how I am. Trapped in how we were, trapped by our resistance to getting off the ride we were on. Fearing and avoiding change. Still today, we're sometimes trapped by our willful denial and rigidity. Outside ourselves, change is inevitable. Recovery helps us deal with this fact. Within ourselves, change is a net positive. It's a dynamic force, exercised through the freedom of choice we now have. Freedom isn't just a state of being, the member continued. We practice it by choosing to change. We're no longer trapped by a nauseating ride. We leave the active addiction amusement park behind. Life in recovery is a whole different park. As we realize our true selves, we achieve some freedom in A. Maybe it's less that we change and more that we become who we truly are. We grow less attached to our story. We can write a new one. We can re-examine aspects of ourselves we never thought to question. Our religion, political leanings, musical tastes, even the food we eat. We get to be curious. We're free to not be so cool. Being clean allows us to challenge our belief systems and behavior patterns, to be and to feel a little less trapped. We don't act on impulse as often. A breath provides a moment to respond with love, not fear. At our best, we are flexible, evolving, able to be influenced by others. There's freedom in open-mindedness. We learn how to say no and to say yes. Though there will be times when we fall back to default mode, we don't have to linger there. We have a new life to live. I will live this day consciously and with purpose. In choosing to change, I'm choosing to be myself. I'm choosing freedom. I love that meditation. I hope you do too. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the reversion of the Serenity Prayer. A moment of silence now, please. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. Choosing freedom. I like this topic because sometimes we hoard our pain and we don't realize that we're hoarding it. Um, it provides us a certain comfort to be able to tell the same story and know that it's a valid story. It's our point of view. It's our side of the street, and it's what we experience. But when the story becomes your identity, that that is a problem if you're in recovery. Now, I would expect someone that hasn't worked the steps, hasn't processed step 1 through 5, I would expect them to still be attached to their story. But when you've been around for a while and you have a sponsor and you're doing the work and you're doing service work, your story is not your first go-to. Your today, right? Your yesterday, the things that you're currently experiencing is your go-to. But your story, the things that you used over and about, they're not no longer you. It's like a bad suit that we keep putting on to serve an old purpose that we no longer need. Right? Our past, our story, our history, all that garbage, all that stuff that we used about is like a bad suit that we're trying to put on. Not only does it not fit anymore because we've grown, it's not even modern. It's not even present. It's like choosing to wear knickerbockers just because you want to. Well, now they kind of call them, capri pants. But the point that I'm making is that that old you, that old garbage, that old story, it doesn't even sound right coming from you anymore. It doesn't fit who you are in recovery anymore. It served its purpose, and there's always a time and a reason to represent it, but it's got to be a part of carrying the message to the addict that is still suffering. That's the purpose of those stories, so that it will be an attraction that you will say to them, if I can do it, you can do it. Look how good life is treating me now because I'm making different decisions today. If your old story is got its chains around you, you're bound by it, it shows. Have you ever been around narcissistic individuals? Like everything is always about them. They have some story they can attach to every conversation that changes the direction of the conversation back to them. They'll tell you all their history, everything they've ever gone through, and they're not even intentional about it. It's not on purpose. It's just who they are. They haven't done the work. But it always swings back to them, their personal experience. It doesn't serve our purpose anymore to hold on to the past when you can walk proudly and firmly and confidently and with self-dignity and respect, with your shoulders held high and not hunched over, able to look individuals in the eye and have a conversation with them and not look to the side of their head past them or down or away in some kind of way, or start fidgeting with your phone when you're talking, or looking in your purse and they're talking, or turning up the car music because you really are trying to drown them out. You don't really want them in your vehicle anyway. None of that is you anymore. It's definitely not me. Like, I can have a conversation. I can be in a moment with you. I can stay with the conversation. I can track it real good, right? If we're talking, you have my undivided attention. And if you don't, I will say, excuse me for just a moment. Let me handle this. And I come right back to you and I say, now, what were you saying? And we pick up like that. This is who you are today, not that old person that is always wearing the Halloween costume of the old bugaboos. It's an outfit that don't fit you, baby. You got to let that go. Some of us, the clothes we put on. I was sharing in the meeting the other day. I was the sheriff for at a newcomers meeting. And I was telling them I raped the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. When I got here, once I figured out I could stay clean, I wasn't trying to change anything else. It was a good 7, 8. A lot of times I say 10 years, but it was actually about 8 years before I got to the point where I could no longer tolerate or stand myself. I got here in 1993. I had the worst, and I do mean the worst experience that started to happen in 2000 and 2001. But it was still another, oh man, I want to say it probably wasn't that long. Like I got here in 93 and I had the worst nervous breakdown in 97. So that's like 4 years. And then I spent another 2 years trying to recover from the nervous breakdown that they told my mother I would never know who I was again. So right around 2000, 2001, I started to lose a loved one that was suffering from lung cancer. And my life began to change. Because before in the rooms, I would rape the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. It was nothing as a married woman to see somebody else on my arm that was not my husband. And I was sharing in this meeting, I was telling them, I was like a married couple's worst nightmare in the rooms. If I saw your man on your arm and I thought he looked good on your arm, I thought he would look much better on mine. I'm surprised I didn't end up dead. The type of stuff that I did and manipulated within the rooms, don't even compare. My step 8, my step 9 is a lot more lengthy from within the rooms than it ever was when I was out there because I refused to change. But I only tell those stories when I'm trying to share my experience, strength, and hope, and trying to qualify. All that time that I was doing that within the rooms in the years prior, none of that stuff is who I am today. It may have been useful to get me to a point of desperation and real surrender. Because half the stuff I did clean, right? So being clean is not enough. We have to do the work. We have to. Everything is at stake. If you were on the wake up list this morning, everything is at stake today. Why put off tomorrow what you can do today? The new you, even people, if they don't want to recognize the new you, doesn't operate the same. If you still saying the same words, telling the same story, wearing the same clothes, have the same behavior, treating people the same, if you're still doing that and you're in recovery, this is your notice. This is a public announcement. We must change. The masks have to go. The bugaboos have got to be addressed. You have to do your step work and get the spiritual principles of that step work so that you can apply these spiritual principles in all of your affairs, not just some, not just on Sunday, not just on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, every day of your life, every waking moment. Like this reading in here, it says a breath is an opportunity basically for us to be able to do better. A breath of life, if you still on top of the world, you still waking up, is an opportunity for change. And we have to choose freedom. This is the one place you get to reinvent yourself. This is the one place where nobody can hold your past over you. This is the one place where you learn how to conquer the things that you were fearing and avoiding. Right? And yeah, I feel kind of sorry for people that don't do the work, but not really that much, especially if they've been around a while. You've been around a while and you've only ever done your fourth step, maybe not even that. You just keep thinking, I can just stay clean. If you can just stay clean and tell me that you are not having some jacked up, obscured, twisted experiences, then just stay clean. But if you just staying clean and you're still having arguments, you're still ending relationships, you're still having division with your friends, you're still angry about so and so that took your man when you first got in the room. If 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 any of this, I'm kind of like just trying to make it clear, right? If any of this that you're living today is attached to the old you, but you're clean, yeah. I dress like a lady today. When I cross my legs, you can't see anything because I'm covered. I cross my legs today, right? I wear the right undergarments that go with the right outfit today, right? And I'm getting personal, but I have to bring it to you like this so that you understand that I'm very conscientious of my presentation to other people today, right? You know, I used to be so physically fit. I was a bodybuilder and I used to bodybuild for competition. I didn't never actually win anything, right? But I used to bodybuild relentlessly. I was in the gym day and night, 3 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on. And every day I went to the gym twice. One was for cardio and one was for lifting weights. I could walk down the street naked and I was not ashamed. If I chose to do that, I would not have been ashamed because I invested in my physical body. I worked out relentlessly. I was ripped. The furthest I ever got down was down to 8% body fat. You couldn't pinch anything. You couldn't find hardly anything on my body that was fat. So what I thought about going to an NA convention or a meeting, showing off my figure, didn't mean nothing because I knew that there wasn't hardly anyone in the room that could even come close to the level of shape that I was in. Maybe some men, but I was relentless about staying in shape. And then something happened. A man came into the rooms and he was like huge muscles, very, very well built. You could tell he lift weights. And we were in a meeting and we were in a circle outdoors because it was summertime. And he sat down in the meeting. He had a wife. He sat down in the meeting and he took his shirt off. Immediately, the attention went from the meeting to him. Everybody saw his six pack, we saw his muscles, his tattoos, and looking fine. His wife happened to be in the building getting some coffee, and I got up and I went into the building. I said, it really ain't none of my business, but you know your husband is sitting out there without his shirt on. He don't even have a t-shirt on. It's very distracting. She was like, he just tripping. He just came from the gym. And she went out there. She was just like whispered in his ear and he put his shirt back on. Just because I got it and it looked good and it feel good, don't mean I have to flaunt it. Right? I'm a married woman too. So obviously I'm gonna respect the relationship. You go around to conventions and you won't even know what's going on. You think you're at the club somewhere because everyone is showing off something, right? Today, the point that I'm making is that those outfits I used to wear, they don't fit me anymore. I mean, literally. but also figuratively. That doesn't fit me anymore. When I walk into a room, a female don't have to worry about whether or not I'm hit on a man because I'm not. You'd be doing lucky if I even look y'all direction, right? Same thing go with the newcomer. Figure out for you how you're going to live today consciously and with purpose. How are you going to choose freedom and cut off the ties of the past that no longer fit you? Let go of that old person. Holding on to that old person with all those schisms is something that is not even you anymore. And I bet I will be willing to bet that it is making you sick. That people are watching and they're just amused, right? They're just amused how on one hand we're in recovery and on the other hand, our actions are saying we aren't. Freedom is more than just a state of being, as the member in this meditation said. We practice to choose change. We practice, we practice, we practice choosing change and walking and living free. You can do it. I know you can because I'm doing it. And every day is not a bowl of cherries. Every day is not easy. There's some days that I don't feel spiritual. There's days I don't want to do the podcast, but I get on and I do it because I've just established a pattern of doing that. Not only feels good, but it is good. The motive is proper. The goodwill, the result, the fruit of that is something that I personally benefit from. Sometimes my conversation with my husband is not always loving and kind, but we've given each other permission to disagree. As long as we don't put our hands on each other and as long as we don't start calling names, right? Everything's not going to be easy. But regardless to what life brings me, I'm showing up to win. I'm showing up to stay on top of the world with you guys, with the people that are choosing recovery, choosing to live, choosing freedom instead of choosing death and bondage. I believe you can do it. Listen, I've enjoyed this conversation. I need to go. I need to go and take care of my family. I just want to greet you this morning and hope that you have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful Labor Day. Be safe. Be safe. Gird up when you're hanging out with families. Remember who you are. They have no reason to change anything just because you're present, and don't expect them to. You change you. You have a quick exit plan. You have a watch or something on your wrist or your phone, and you say, "Oh man, look at the time. I got one more family to see, or I got somewhere to be." Right? Know how to handle and negotiate those uncomfortable circumstances. Okay. Well, I've enjoyed talking to you, and I will be talking to you tomorrow.